What's up, Clemson Tiger Baseball fans? This is episode 12 of Around the Bases. I'm your host, Big Al. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Corey Welsh. Corey, how's it going, man?
Good. 3 big wins this weekend, so can't get much better than that.
Yeah, unbelievable. It was a great weekend overall for sure, and we're going to we're going to talk about the Louisville series. We're going to go over our shoots and ladders segments as usual, which is going to be, our negatives and then our positives from the weekend, and we're also going to give you, or Corey is going to give you a preview of the week to come. So we got a lot to talk about tonight, a lot of good stuff. But first, we want to make sure that you like and follow the show. If you're watching with us on Facebook, like and subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. All right, that's how we expand the brand. That's how we get the conversation started with more people, more Clemson fans. That's what we want to do. So, Corey, let's get down to business here, okay? So did you catch any of the Boston Red Sox playing the Louisville Cardinals in baseball this weekend?
Yeah, just a little bit of that. That's what it seemed like.
It is.
I made a comment. Yeah, I made a comment yesterday on Twitter during the first inning. I was like, I wonder if the guys knew that BP was before the game rather than during it. So
yeah, look, Clemson looked amazing this weekend. This is a Clemson. You can probably tell I'm a little amped up, as I should be, after sweeping the Louisville Cardinals. Number 4, depending on where you're looking. Number 7, I think, is the worst they were ranked. So that was a monstrous series for Clemson this weekend. Huge sweep, and kind of gets them back on track to potentially, at least, start making some noise for the postseason. It's something we talked about last week. Even with a sweep of Wake Forest, you weren't really sure that got them back into the picture. They were still kind of outside looking in. With a sweep of Louisville, that's a huge resume builder and could really make that push for the postseason come true. A lot of work to do, a lot of season to be played, a lot of work left to do, but that's okay. You got to start somewhere, and you can't start any better than a Louisville sweep. So, look, Clemson wins the first game, 11-3. They squeak out the next one. Grice has another home run, a huge clutch hit, and makes it 5-4, and they win that one too. And then, of course, they stomp them 15-5 in the Sunday game. Kind of give us your thoughts. The weekend recap from Corey Welsh. Kind of what did you see in each of the games? You can break it down game by game, do it as a whole weekend, whatever you want. But kind of tell us what you saw this weekend.
3 main things to me. The first one is the response. That first inning on Friday, they give up that run. You kind of get down, top-tier team coming into town and things like that. But, they come back single, then the Grice show begins. So, to kind of get that momentum going. And you kind of saw the same thing on Sunday, too. It could have been, they went down 3 solo home runs, which, you think you're Louisville in the first inning, you're like, all right, we hit 3 home runs here. Let's get a game and get out of town, and then bam, it kind of starts again. They put up a 5 spot, and then another thing to me was the starting pitching all the way around.
Right.
Good starts every night. Even though Clark got roughed up even on Sunday, and probably in a start that I don't know. You could tell me that. I don't think he knew going in to the weekend that was going to be his game. I think it's kind of that. That's what I feel like we're at that Sunday. It's the best guy available type deal.
Sure.
But still kind of mustered out that start, and then player of the week, Caden Grice, just doing it all. I think the third shot on Friday night was kind of the one where, to me, like to Clemson fans, they knew he was good, but I think that's the one that kind of put him into that Seth Beer category as far as what people are expecting out of him. So he's finally there, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. And this was a great weekend for baseball. Obviously, like I said, they came out firing on Friday night, got the huge 11-3 win. I was actually gone most of Saturday. I was kind of keeping up with the stats online. I was up in Lake Lure, so the reception's a little spotty at best going up and down the mountain there. But I kept up with it. As a matter of fact, we were on the drive on the way home, and we had left right at the end of the game. And I told Mary Beth, I was like, and for those of you that don't know, that's my wife. And I said, look, I'm driving through the mountains. You're going to have to let me know what's going on. So she's got the stats up on her phone. And all of us, I know there's one out. I know we have one out, and it's 4-4. I guess it's in the 9th inning. And I was like, okay, whatever. She said, well, I'm getting reception, so we're in good shape. I'll keep you posted. And I was like, well, how many outs is there? What's going on? She said, well, there's 2 outs. I was like, well, crap. Grice must have got out. And I look at her phone while driving down the mountain, and I was like, wait a minute. Does that say 5-4? She said, yes, it does say 5-4. I was like, well, Grice hit a home run. We hit one dead spot, and you let me down. This is what I've been waiting on the whole game for Grice to hit a home run. I didn't even know about it. So a huge win. Obviously, another clutch hit for Caden Grice. And look, also, I want to talk about the Sunday game for a little bit. And again, it wasn't feeling real good in the top of the first as Clark was just getting lit up by these guys. And those home runs were no doubters. You could tell in the stadium that they were going out. It was just they were hitting the ball hard. As a matter of fact, I think they came close to hitting another one. But huge shout out to the man formerly known as Four Paws Wild Bill. He gave me an extra ticket to go with him on Sunday, so I was in attendance for that game. We're just going to have to call him Wild Bill in general now. That's all he can go by. Four Paws had its last day on Friday as he is cruising off into the sunset of retirement. So a major thanks to Bill for letting me have that ticket and joining me at the game. It was a lot of fun. We wish you the best of luck in retirement. Look, I got to tell you, we don't really care what all you do in retirement as long as you're watching the show. That's what's important, okay? Just keep up with the show, and that's where your money's good at. So, look, it was a great game. It was a long game. When we came back and had our 5 spot in the bottom of the first, you're thinking, wow, this could actually happen. Clemson could actually sweep Louisville. I think if you polled Clemson fans before this weekend, I think almost every Clemson fan would have unanimously said, look, give me one win and let's get out of here. Give me one, just make us so that we don't get swept, and we'll be happy with that. Then you blow them out Friday. Then you somehow win a one-run game, which Clemson has not done this year well at all. They make that happen on Saturday. It's gravy now. It's gravy. I got to be at the gravy game, and it ended up being even more gravy, which there's never too much gravy, okay? That's something I can tell you for sure. So it was an awesome weekend for Clemson overall. And I'm very, very excited about what this could mean. You never want to get ahead of yourself. A lot of baseball to be played. But this is the Clemson team we were telling you about at the beginning of the year that everybody had hoped to see. And it's nice to finally see them putting it together for sure. So, look, we're going to get into our Chutes and Ladders segment now. Okay, this is a segment where we talk about the negatives. We talk about the positives over the weekend. Good news, not a ton of negatives here. We'll pick out some things. There's always something to improve upon or whatever. Corey, kind of give us what you saw. Any negatives you saw from a sweep of Louisville this weekend?
Well, you know what? I'm going to throw a curveball at you, Alan, because I was thinking about that. Yeah, I was thinking about that when we were going to get to this segment. And you know what? Like when you sweep a top 5 team in the country, there are no negatives. So you know what? Like I am strictly bypassing this, and I'm handing it off to you, and I'll go off that because you know what? Like if there is something that wasn't right, like we're gonna you'll overcome it. So what you got?
That's good. I'm okay with that. I'm all for that. And the good news is I see in our comments over here, Tiger Paw 1979. That is Wild Bill himself, and he's watching on YouTube. Bill, I'm so sorry. I'm learning how to get this thing shared from YouTube to Facebook since we can't stream simultaneously anymore. But you found us, all right? You did the work. You put in the work. You found us, and we appreciate you watching, of course. So I'm going to get to the few negatives that I have for the weekend. On Game 2, we left a ton of runners on base. I don't know how many we ended with. It was over 10. I would imagine it's somewhere 12, 13. I could actually look that up really quick. I have the stats pulled up. But we left a ton of runners on base. Which is something we've done a lot this year.
14.
How many? 14? Whew.
Yeah.
That's a lot of runners on base, man. And, that's why we haven't won the one-run games this year. All right, but somehow we made it happen, and that was a great thing to see. I think Brewer has started to struggle a little bit at the plate. He's starting to look a little more lost, a little more strikeouts than we're used to seeing. He didn't have I looked over the stats. I was like, well, he didn't have a good weekend by any means. I think he only had a couple of hits, but he looked bad swinging at some of these pitches yesterday. I think he went over 3 or 3 strikeouts or something. So he had a rough day yesterday. We need to get him going for sure. They actually put in Elijah Henderson in right field near the end of the game. I'm not sure whether they were just trying to see what he could do since Brewer was struggling, or if they were saying, hey, we're up by 10. What's it going to hurt? So I'll be interested to see whether Brewer starts or whether Henderson starts in right field here in the games coming up this week. Also have Pandia. Pandia on this list, on Friday night, they brought him in on the 9th inning to come in. Look, they're up 10 runs. It was 11-1. All you got to do is come in and throw strikes. If they hit it out of the park, they hit it out of the park. You got a huge lead. Just make them make a play. And I think he hit a couple guys. He walked another. Just absolutely could not throw a strike. Pandeo was one of the guys who I wanted in every game at the beginning of the year. I loved this guy. I thought he was really good. You remember the text messages. I'm like, why would you get anybody but Pandeo? I like this kid. And he started to struggle a little bit, so we really need him to find his way and come back to being kind of, getting kind of the good stuff he had earlier in the year, and get some of that momentum back. And you'll love this. This is a great shoot. This is a great negative over the weekend. Caden Grice did not hit for the home run cycle, and I could not be more disappointed in this young man. I mean, just put him on the bench. If that's all he can do, forget it. He comes in, and it was funny because he had, I don't remember which came first. I think the grand slam came first, and then he had the solo home run. Then he had the 3-run homer. And I actually was gone at my nephew's baseball game. So I came back home, and I was like, I'll get home for his last at-bat or two, and all he's got to do is get a runner on. Parker, I think, at least one of those at-bats, managed to get on. He had a runner on each of his last two at-bats, and I'm thinking, one of these, it's going to happen. This is amazing. I can't believe I'm going to see this live. I don't know if this has ever even happened before. And he couldn't get it done. So he had to settle for like 8 RBIs in a game. Whatever. I mean, small potatoes, but it is what it is. He had an amazing weekend, and I'm going to get to him in our ladders segment as well. Of course, I would imagine you will too. So we're going to get you started with the ladders. What is the good stuff? There's plenty of it to talk about, but what good stuff did you see from this weekend?
One of the main things that stuck out to me is number one, and we've kind of given this kid kind of we hadn't called him out, but kind of given him a hard time, is Jeffrey Gilbert. I mean, what he did this weekend coming out of the pen, not in a closing role, but I kind of call that more of a shutdown role,
Right.
In that tight game early on. And then yesterday, I mean, he faced the minimum in 3 innings. So, hats off to him for finding it after those tough losses and things like that. You kind of wonder if that messes with his mind and things like that. And obviously it's not. Another thing, I saw this today. Today's Jeffrey's birthday. So,
wow.
I texted him earlier. I said, man, congrats on, you got to sweep of Louisville for your 20th birthday. So can't really beat that. Another thing that I like is just the continuity in the lineup. Like if you look at the lineups throughout the weekend, they were pretty much the same. Briar Hawkins was in the entire time. I felt like 1 through 9, we kind of knew what those guys were going to do.
Right.
Sam Hall was huge all weekend, at the leadoff role, getting the job done there. And then finally, before I pass it back and I talked about it again, it's just that starting pitching. That is the key. That is the key. When Clemson was struggling, early on in the year and things like that, starters were going anywhere from that 3 to 5 range. If you're able to get past the 5th to allow your Hoffmans, who we're seeing out of the pen now, Gilbert, Clayton, and those guys in short enough stints to throw multiple times, that's where this team's going to be pretty good. So
sure, no doubt. And I actually want to get to that before I get onto my ladders. You were talking about Hoffman, seeing him in a bullpen role. That's what we've been seeing him in. So do you think that is his role now? Do you think we're not going to see him start anymore? I find that a bit odd because he was dominant in his starts. His past restart, he's been completely shutting him down. Even when our first 2 guys, Askew and Anglin, got just hammered against Miami, Hoffman comes in and shuts him down for the most part. He's done excellent. Every start he's had these past 4 weekends or whatever. So it was really interesting to see that he did not come in. And I started to wonder at the end of the game. I was talking with Bill about this up in the stands. I was like, why? I thought Hoffman should have started. But I was like, okay, Matt Clark, I'm fine with Matt Clark. Either way, didn't look real good, like I said, in the top of the first, but he settled down, and it actually did really well after that for the most part. So I was like, well, maybe they're saving Hoffman to pitch the midweek against USC Upstate. I'm not really sure what the deal is. Do you think he's going to start anymore, or do you think he's strictly out of the pen now?
No, I think at some point he'll definitely start. And I kind of use it, as a position player. I'm trying to think like Mark DeRosa. He can kind of play anywhere on the field. I think that's kind of what Hoffman is for the Tigers right now. I think at some point you get into tournament play, deep into a regional or something like that. Like that's a guy to lean on with him. And I was just checking to make sure. I I think he was available for Sunday. Obviously, with the score being what it was, you had an opportunity to rest him. But, him throwing an inning on Saturday, and then if that game would have been close, probably in the seventh on, I felt like he might have been more in a closer / middle relief role, to see for a couple of innings. So, and I think that on the flip side of that, I mean, he may have started Sunday if he had not thrown on Saturday. I mean,
Right.
that's a possibility. It's things that we never know, but I kind of like what they're doing with that. And I know you touched on this maybe the other week. The reason why I feel like he can kind of bounce around compared to an Anglin or guys like that is, I mean, to me, Hoffman's delivery is a little more effortless, so a little more repeatedly. Where Anglin, he just because of his stuff and how he delivers the baseball, he needs that time of rest where Hoffman may necessarily not. So it's a huge weapon for them moving forward for sure.
Sure, and yeah, Anglin was absolutely filthy on Friday. I got to see him pitch a little bit on that game. It was unbelievable to watch. And Hoffman actually, he came in Sunday as well. He came in and pitched an inning on Sunday. So that's what made me think about it. I was like, wait a minute, is he not going to pitch this week or what's going on? I figured he would pitch come regional time. You got to have all your starters arms available come regional time. But I was curious. So do you think we'll see him in a starting role before the end of the year, before we get to tournament play, or what's your thoughts there?
I mean, if he does, I think it would probably be on a Sunday. Now, I mean, I say that, and he'll probably start next Saturday. I mean,
no, I agree with you.
Yeah, but I think it is kind of kind of see how it goes. If they go down to the Georgia Tech and he's not needed on Friday or Saturday, I mean, that's a guy you can flip the ball to and kind of go from there. And I'm interested to see too. If we see Davis Sharp coming up too. It's been another week. Didn't have to throw with exams last week. He was probably able to get some pen work or some live BP stuff done. But I mean, obviously with how he's swinging a bat, he's feeling better too. So hopefully that can carry over to the mound.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'd like to see him. It's another arm that you have. Again, he's not necessarily your dominant Friday night type guy, but he's a trusted arm, a veteran arm, and is somebody you can count on for sure to come in. So I'm going to get to my ladders here really quick. First off, I have the Clemson baseball team. All right, you can't have a better ladder than that. They did amazing this weekend. It's nice to be able to come on here and brag about them. That's what we like to see. I had the same thing you had, Jeffrey Gilbert. You have to give him a shout out. We had talked about him not looking comfortable in this role. That he's been in, kind of the long reliever type, the setup man, so to speak. He just hasn't really looked as comfortable with that as coming in the ninth and just, slinging gas like he used to. But he did amazing this weekend against a great team. So that was really good. It was good to finally see that. Sunday dugout energy, okay? We were sitting in the stands, and these guys are dancing around. They're yelling, they're cheering the whole game. And I was like, Bill, is that normal? Because I don't remember hearing a ton of that. Especially not this season. Of course, they haven't had a ton to cheer about, in fairness, until now. And he was like, "That's not really normal for this year." So I'm very excited to see that. It seems like they're excited. They're playing more loose. I think it's much easier and lends itself to much better baseball when you're playing loose. And that's something I like to see. I really enjoyed seeing that from the guys. They were having a lot of fun out there. And of course, the last ladder is I have Caden freaking Grice on here again, and we're just going to give him an extra shout out because he deserves it. He's National Player of the Week. He's not looking like a freshman in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So it's definitely good to see, and can't wait to see what he can do from here on. Last segment we have for the day is, of course, the Corey Welsh special. This is the week's preview. Okay, we're playing USC Upstate. I think that game is on Wednesday this week. I believe I heard somebody mention that. And then, of course, we go to Georgia Tech this weekend. For a series. Corey, give us your thoughts on what Clemson should be looking for and how it's going to go this weekend.
Well, with USC Upstate, again, good program, as we found out a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately, in that route. And they also, right after that, went to Atlanta and beat Georgia Tech. I believe it was 9-3. So it's a good revenge. But again, as you're looking towards potential postseason play, USC Upstate would be a solid resume builder for that. And kind of getting into that, I was kind of thinking, what do they have to do kind of moving forward? And to me, that 28-29 win mark is kind of where they need to be with a good showing in the tournament. And looking at the schedule, you got Upstate this weekend, Georgia Tech, and then the Gamecocks and so forth. So, but kind of getting into Georgia Tech, interesting. This record may seem familiar to you. 21-18 overall, with 15-12 in the ACC. So,
nice.
kind of a matchup there. But one thing that's kind of weird is they're below 500 at home, which you typically don't see.
Right.
9-12 overall. I'll start with the pitchers. I feel like they rely very heavily on their starters. Brent Herter, just right at a 4 ERA. Him and Andy Archer both. I mean, that's pretty stout. Both have thrown over 50 innings, and then Sam Crawford as well. He's at 45 innings with a respectable ERA. In the bullpen, they have 3 or 4 guys that they kind of rely on. And then offensively, they're not as strong as they started out early on in the year. Kevin Parada, 335 average, 17 doubles, which I found was pretty interesting, 2 triples and 5 home runs. And then a kid I have some history with, I've seen play at the prep level, Drew Compton, left-handed hitter. Like, remember, you're not going to miss him, Alan. He's a monster. Has a chance to lead yard. He's got quite a few home runs this year as well, 8 to be exact. So, I feel like it's a pretty good matchup. Anytime, this is kind of the time of the year that we were talking about where things are going to get interesting. You got Georgia Tech. If I remember, it's Florida State next week.
Yep.
And then you wrap up conference play with Duke. So,
yep.
Whenever you start looking at these things, it's really about how you finish kind of carries some weight. So hopefully, obviously going on the road, you really need to win 2 out of 3. Last week, like you brought up a while ago, we were like, just win 1 out of 3. I mean, I felt like as we were doing that show, we were trying to be like super optimistic on saying that, hey, there's a path there to get 2 out of 3, but let's take 1. So right. I think we feel confident saying that 2 out of 3 should happen if they execute like they did this week. So
yeah, sure. And you completely stole my thunder, which we have a tendency to do to each other a little bit. Well, again, these shows we don't talk about these shows beforehand. We don't talk about our notes. This is kind of it makes it fun live. All right, when we get to hear each other destroying ourselves on the live broadcast. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I was thinking about this very weekend. What do they need to do? What do they need to do to get in the tournament? Okay. So my thoughts were, you got to find a way to steal 2 on the road, whether it be the Georgia Tech series or whether it be the Florida State series. I don't really care which one it is. You win 1 in one series, 2 in the other. Of course, you can do better than that. That would be great. I think you find a way to at least split the midweek games, the South Carolina game and the USC Upstate game, and then you win the series at home versus Duke. A sweep would be great, but I think 2 out of 3 there, as long as you do the rest of the stuff, I think you can get in that way. That's not only going to give you above 500, in a really tough conference for the year. It's going to have you at a good RPI. It's going to have you, with season-ending momentum and that kind of thing. And of course, you probably need a win or 2 in the tournament. You don't want to go winless in the tournament or anything like that. But I really think that can get you in. I'm not sure if you need to quite get up to the 29 win mark. I think that's one of the things you were talking about earlier. I think you can get in with less than that in a league as competitive as this has been, and a league that's been ranked as well as this has. That a lot of times the committee looks at, how they're doing at the end of the year. And if you start at the halfway point and go forward, if we continue to play well, they're going to see a lot of major change in what Clemson has done. So that's going to be really nice to have on your resume going forward towards the end of the season. So that's kind of my thoughts as to what they need to do to get in and what we're looking for. But Georgia Tech, I know Georgia Tech was ranked really high near the beginning of the season. I would imagine with that record, they're not ranked right now, are they?
No, in couple, I think I saw where they were, like there's 37 polls, it seems like.
That's true.
But I think I saw them like right at the 25 mark.
Okay.
I know that was probably before this weekend. They dropped 2 out of 3 to Kennesaw State this past weekend. Yeah, I've noticed that some teams did step out of conference play this week.
Gotcha.
But I don't know if it has to do with exams and things like that. So
sure, it could very well. Yeah, it could very well be that. And so it looks like the more realistic shot right now is to win 2 out of 3 this weekend and take 1 out of 3, or even better, 2 out of 3 against Florida State That's kind of your goal. I think that's something you need to shoot for to kind of give yourself that push and separate yourself from that 500 record to go towards the postseason.
Yeah. I think one thing too that'll be interesting, kind of jumping ahead to next week, is how important that South Carolina game will be. When you get into postseason, obviously because it's Clemson, South Carolina, but now you're facing a Gamecock team that's in the top 20 that you need to beat, not just because it's your in-state, but it's good for it's good for the resume, man. I mean, at that point, you can easily look at it and say, well, that's the team we were. Look at what we are now, and things like that. So,
because the committee's not going to look back and see that we took them to 2 extra inning games before, or 2 walk-off games before. They're not going to look at that. All they're going to see is 0-2. And that's not what you want to see. We know they were great games, and we understand that right now we're a much different team than we were then. But doesn't matter. On the sheet it says 0-2, and that's all they're going to care about. So if you can make it 1-2, that's certainly respectable. And again, if you have that win in the second half, it's going to push that resume up the chart a little bit. So definitely need the momentum going into the end of the year. You have any other thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I mean, just the main thing is like this kind of just shows what baseball is. We were sitting here 3 or 4 weeks ago, and you're like, man, what is going on? This and that, and this is, and then you turn around, it's the same group of guys, but they're just playing with confidence. And it was a lot of fun to watch. So hopefully, but that just can't let that be the celebration. Like that can't be the high point of the season.
Exactly. That's an excellent point. They got to keep this going. It's been fun to watch. This is baseball. It's what me and Bill were talking about in the stands. This is baseball. This is why it's so fun, because you can turn it around at any point. We've seen Clemson do this before, and I hope we're about to see a similar run here now. Hopefully one that goes beyond a regional this time. You keep that momentum going into the regionals and beyond. But look, I'm still here taking full credit. I'm well aware they watched the show when I graded them a D-, okay, and that's what they needed, all right, and that's cool. I heard them chanting in the stands, laughing at me around the bases, giving them a D-, and that's cool. Like I said, I'll be that guy if that's what I need to be. I'm very excited that they're doing well. It's good to see. Love Tiger Baseball, especially when they're playing like they are now. So we're going to wish them all the luck in the future. We're going to be back here next week talking about the Georgia Tech series and the game with USC Upstate, and then, of course, previewing the following week as we go to Florida State and whatnot. So, look, everybody, make sure, again, that you're liking and following on Facebook, that you're liking and subscribing on YouTube. I would say whether you like the show or not, I don't really care. If you don't like the show, you can subscribe and still give us that pub that we need. All right, we want to talk to Clemson fans. We want to talk to people that are passionate about Clemson baseball. So get in with us and make sure you join us next time as we slide into home.